What happens when a narcissist can no longer hide from their karma? Oh, how it all comes back to haunt them. Narcissists live in a world that they have created for themselves. They put a great deal of time and effort into trying to control how other people perceive them. They worked really hard to sustain this bubble, investing time, energy, and focus into putting on a front. Within it, they think they are superior to everyone else, smarter, better, untouchable, and more worthy. This idealized self-image is what they want everyone to believe in. I mean this when I refer to their crafted reality. Although this reality is a mask or facade, it is temporary. The repercussions, the impact on their self-esteem, and the toxic habits that surface when the mask is ultimately taken off are precisely what we're examining in this video today. So, my buddies, welcome. I hope things is fine with you all. Now it's best to stay away when the illusion, the mask, or the facade breaks down. Narcissists are adept at creating a fake world. Although they incline more toward illusion, they live in a fantasy world that is delicately balanced between truth and illusion. Even though they exist in the actual world, they create a dream in which they assume the identity of someone else in order to influence how other people see them. This, in my opinion, indicates significant problems with their mental health. Who would truly choose to live as a distorted version of themselves, portraying a fake self? This lack of congruence and genuineness reveals a serious disparity in their mental health. It's obvious that someone who manipulates others to see them in a negative light is having personal difficulties. The problem is that there is no way to sustain this false identity indefinitely. The mask eventually breaks, allowing the real self to show through. Being authentic comes naturally to us. It's who we are. However, it takes a lot of work for narcissists to keep up a false self-image. They must recall every deed, every phrase, and every aspect of their fictitious identity. This wears you out, which is why the mask eventually comes off. Narcissists frequently experience the worst repercussions from their actions in relationships. Their perception of relationships, whether friendships or romantic ones, is distorted, and they find it difficult to connect with people in a genuine way. Their actions are motivated by their need for approval rather than by compromise. They are more concerned with what other people can do for them than with what they can do for them. Because relationships based on one-sided demands invariably fail, this causes a distance. The victim, who is the one receiving, eventually reaches a breaking point. The other person cannot maintain this dynamic indefinitely, even though the narcissist may feel entitled to ongoing validation. Narcissists have irrational expectations, believing that others would keep giving without expecting anything in return. This one-sided perspective on relationships is ultimately unsustainable because it views individuals as transactional resources rather than partners, which is a reflection of their alienation from their actual selves. They constantly question, "What can you give me?" and view other people as transactions. People are ultimately objectified by them. However, we are not tools, we are people. Because of this, narcissists have a tendency to cycle among groups of individuals, discarding one before moving on to the next, sometimes even merging relationships. Others are hurt and upset by these behavioral differences. Because narcissists are so estranged from their true selves, they are unable to recognize the consequences of their behavior and continue as is. Are they aware that what they're doing is bad on some level? Indeed, they do. They are aware that their acts have an impact on other people, yet they are unable to empathize with the suffering they inflict because they lack or possess very little empathy. Everyone has a threshold, and eventually people get sick of being manipulated by a narcissist. You may tolerate horrible treatment once, twice, or even 10 times, but eventually you will have had enough. However, because they are unable to comprehend love and reciprocity, the narcissist thinks they may continue, oblivious to the hurt they are causing. Narcissists become isolated as a result of this behavior over time. They no longer receive the supply or approval they so desperately want. They might either go into overdrive and start looking for approval from others at this stage, or they might withdraw into themselves. Although they may believe that there is always someone new to control, the narcissist eventually feels exhausted as their reputation catches up with them and people begin to see through their facade. Let's now examine narcissists in the workplace. Additionally, there are repercussions for their careers. Because of their charm and talent for self-promotion, they may succeed at first, flaunting their abilities, stealing credit for others' labor, and moving up the corporate ladder swiftly. But gradually, coworkers become aware of the narcissist's actions. Whether in friendships, relationships, or their employment, their false facade can only endure so long. People start to see through it and question why this individual behaves in this manner. The foundation of all relationships, whether personal or professional, is reciprocity, cooperation, trust, and teamwork, none of which are exhibited by narcissists. Thus, their actions finally catch up with them. Narcissists behave differently when they see that their world is collapsing. They might try to hoover back old connections in an attempt to gain approval from those they've previously manipulated, or they might double down and become even more manipulative. Despite their outbursts and promises of reform, they will eventually fail. For them, it never really works out. They may even develop a self-pitying pattern in which they withdraw inside and feel sorry for themselves. This can be a time of loathing and self-hatred. Narcissists eventually experience emotional solitude as a result of everything catching up with them. The narcissist is left alone after people see through the facade. They can no longer use hoovering or manipulation to obtain supply. People see who they truly are and no longer believe them. As they get older and have burned all their bridges, this frequently occurs. They struggle to get anyone's attention and approval at this point. For them, it might be a very bleak conclusion. You may be asking yourself, can narcissists change? In actuality, they usually aren't able to. Narcissists lack the self-awareness to comprehend the consequences of their acts, notwithstanding the opinions of others. This is how they have always been. Why would they feel the need to alter or realize how they affect other people? The core of narcissistic conduct is this lack of understanding. It can be frustrating when narcissists appear to get away with their destructive behavior for an extended period of time. However, keep in mind that their world does ultimately collapse. A lie cannot last forever. It eventually catches up with them. Please share this video if you think it's helpful.